Welcome to this explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. If you've ever looked over at a programmer's screen, seen that blinking cursor sitting in a stark black window, and felt just a little wave of intimidation, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're taking that scary black box of Linux and translating it into one of the most empowering logical tools you can possibly have in your digital toolkit. We're going to demystify the terminal step by step, taking what looks like complex, secretive code and turning it into plain, understandable instructions. But right off the bat, we've got to address the elephant in the room. Why type when you can click? I mean, we live in a world of beautifully designed graphical interfaces, right? We've got mice, trackpads, touchscreens, the whole shebang. So why on earth go backward to typing out text? Well, the truth is, it's not going backward at all. Using text commands in the Linux terminal is actually vastly faster, far more powerful, and incredibly precise compared to clicking your way through endless nested menus. It just completely strips away the visual clutter and lets you speak directly to your computer's core. So let's dive into this. What exactly is the terminal? At its core, think of it simply as a text-based interface that you use to control a Linux system. When you start learning this, you're essentially acquiring a new, almost magical language for everyday computing tasks. And let me tell you, it is not just some neat party trick. This language is the absolute backbone of modern technology. Whether you're managing web servers, working in cloud computing, diving deep into cybersecurity, or building software, the terminal is where the real heavy lifting gets done. Okay, here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. Navigating your digital workspace. 2. Mastering file operations. 3. Monitoring system health. And 4. Avoiding those common beginner mistakes.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, navigating your digital workspace.
So when you first open a terminal, you're dropped into a specific location in your computer's filing system. But there are no visual walls or doors to show you where you actually are. That's where these 3 essential commands come into play. They kind of act like your digital compass and map. First up is pwd, which stands for Print Working Directory. Typing this tells you exactly where you are right now. It's like dropping a pin on your map. Next is ls, meaning list. This lets you look around and see all the files and folders sitting right there in your current location. And finally, cd, or change directory, which is how you actually walk through a door into a new folder.
This perfectly illustrates what happens when you use that digital map. If you just type ls and hit enter, boom, the terminal prints out the contents of your current location. You'll see totally familiar names pop up right there in text form. Desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, videos. It's the exact same folders you'd see if you opened up your normal graphical file browser, just presented as clean, highly efficient text. You're basically seeing the matrix here.
Moving right along to part 2, mastering file operations.
The amazing thing is we can accomplish everything we normally do with a mouse right here with just a few quick keystrokes. First is mkdir, which stands for Make Directory. Typing mkdir followed by a name, say mkdir new folder, is literally the exact equivalent of right-clicking your mouse and selecting New Folder. It's that simple. Next, we've got touch. Typing touchfile.txt instantly creates a brand new, totally empty text file. And if you ever need to duplicate that file, you just use cp for copy. Typing cpfile.txt backup.txt creates an exact replica on the spot. Fast, right? Now, let's see how we can build on those actions. If cp is copy, mv stands for move. But what's really clever here is that mv actually does double duty. You can use it to move a file into a completely different folder, like mv file.txt documents, which is essentially just dragging and dropping it. But actually, you can also use mv to just rename a file. You just move the file into a new name in that exact same location. Pretty slick. And finally, we have rm, standing for remove. Typing rm file.txt deletes the file, but lean in for a second, because I really need you to hear this next part. This is absolutely crucial. The rm command deletes files permanently. There is no graphical recycling bin or trash can waiting to catch your mistakes in the terminal. None. When you tell Linux to remove something using rm, it assumes you know exactly what you're doing, and it obeys you instantly and permanently. It gives you incredible power, for sure, but as the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Always, always double-check your typing before hitting enter on an rm command. Let's move on to part 3, monitoring system health. The very first command in our diagnostic toolkit is top. If you have ever used the task manager in Windows, or maybe the activity monitor on a Mac, top is the terminal equivalent. When you type top, your terminal transforms into this amazing live dashboard. It gives you the real-time heartbeat of your machine, displaying CPU usage, memory usage, and a constantly updating list of every single running process. If your computer is ever running slow, top is going to immediately tell you which program is hogging all the resources.
Next up, we definitely want to check our storage. We do this with the command df, which stands for disk free. Now, we usually add a little -h to the end of it, df-h, which tells Linux to show us the file sizes in a human-readable format. You know, like gigabytes, rather than a massive, totally confusing string of raw bytes. Notice how clear it is when you break it down into these proportions. It shows you exactly how much used disk space you have versus available space, which keeps you from ever being surprised by a full hard drive.
And just like we check our long-term storage, we also have to check in on our short-term, working memory, the RAM. For this, we use the command free. And yep, we're adding that -h again for human-readable output. This command basically visualizes the invisible. It gives you instant awareness of how your computer is handling its current workload, breaking down exactly how much RAM memory is currently being used by your open applications and how much is just sitting free, waiting to be deployed.
All right, wrapping up with part 4, avoiding common beginner mistakes.
Okay, the single most important thing you need to know about Linux is that it is incredibly literal. It does exactly what you type, nothing more, nothing less. And crucially, it is entirely case-sensitive. If you want to change directories and you type a capital C and a capital D, Linux is just going to look at you blankly and spit out a command not found error. Notice how doing it the right way requires exact spacing and a lowercase c-d? To the terminal, a capital A and a lowercase a are two entirely different universes. Typing perfectly really does matter here.
So here is a quick rundown of the most common pitfalls you're going to encounter. We just talked about wrong capitalization. Then there's missing spaces. Remember, commands and file names need a space between them to be understood. You'll probably encounter incorrect file names a lot, usually just because of a small typo. Sometimes you'll see a permission denied error, which just means you're trying to mess with a system file you shouldn't be touching without administrator privileges. And, of course, dangerous RM usage. So how do we fix all these? Just slow down. Read what you typed before pressing enter. Double-checking your work is absolutely your best defense.
And just like that, you have conquered the essentials. You now know exactly how to navigate, manipulate files, and monitor your system, all through the raw power of text. The terminal is no longer some scary black box. It's just a blank canvas waiting for your instructions. So I want to leave you with this final, exciting thought. You've mastered the basics, you hold the keys to the kingdom now, so what will you build next? Fire up that terminal, start practicing, and go create something amazing.